Introduce myself. I am Carlos Edry, and I'm the CEO of Luxury Cruise Connections. Very quickly, with me, many of the faces that you see here are clients or MDTs to the event. But you're going to see a lot of people with Dash Luxury Cruise Connections next to their name. Those are team members, part of our team. Feel free to say hi if you know any of them. I'm sure many of you guys do. Then we have anybody that you see with a Dash Silversea Cruises is because they are part of the Silversea team. And so please let me start with Joe. Why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself, and then Chaz and Audrey, please introduce yourselves.
Yeah, hi everyone. First off, I want to thank our partners at Luxury Cruise Connection for putting this together and giving us the opportunity to share our message directly with some of their most valuable customers. So really, thank you. We really appreciate the opportunity, and I look forward to sharing our product with you today. I think we've got a lot to talk about. This is a product that requires explanation. It looks very similar to many other products that you have choices out there for. So this opportunity to really peel back the layers and get down into what the essence of the brand is so very important for us to be able to accurately present ourselves to you. So thank you for your time.
And Audrey Corso here, Area Sales Director for Silversea Cruises. And I brought Joe along because he's full of energy, and you guys, Luxury Cruise Connections is my top account in South Florida. So we're very happy to be here. Always enjoyable to see you guys and all of my advisors. And then we also have added somebody else new to help support Luxury Cruise Connections, and that's just recently. And Chaz, you can take it away.
Absolutely. Thanks, Audrey. So my name is Chaz Dunwoody. I'm the Senior Director of Key Accounts for Silversea, and Luxury Cruise Connections falls into our key account roster, which is representative of our top 20 accounts in North America. And we're thrilled to be partnering with them, and we couldn't be here without them, and can't wait for the event today.
Yeah, and both of these guys are fantastic. Each of them can do this event on their own. They just like to make sure I'm working. So
we're the checks and balances.
We all want to make sure you're working, Joe. What are you talking about? We all know what really goes on. We're not in an event like this. All right. So let's get started. Obviously, we're here to talk about Silversea. So enough about us. And let's give me your 30-second elevator pitch. Let's start with that. Talk to me about Silversea. You have 30 seconds to tell me all about it.
Yeah, I might take 30 seconds times two, but I'll try to make this quick. Because like I said earlier, we get confused with a lot of different products out there. So first off, we'll talk about the differentiators. We're the destination leaders in cruising. That is hands down. We sail to 900 destinations on our portfolio. Our closest luxury competitor is at 425, and the closest cruise line in the industry is under 460. So just by sheer numbers, we can prove that we are the destination leaders in cruising today. However, what makes it really unique is how we invest to go in on these destinations. We offer both a classic product and an expedition product. And so when you're the only luxury brand doing expedition, it's easy to claim destination leadership because you're going to some really remote places with a very unique format. But it's how we call and invest on the iconic cities and the capital cities around the world that you all want to go and visit as well. It's, when we sail from the small ships out of London, we sail from the Tower Bridge. That's a really unique experience, one I've had the great privilege of doing myself. We sail up the most rivers in Europe so that your experience in Seville is in Seville. It's not a bus ride from Cadiz. And so we have hundreds of ports like this around the world. Those are the examples. So if I was going to say there's one differentiator between us and everyone else, it's destinations. And it's not just the sheer number or how much I pay to go somewhere. It's how we build the programs and the spaces that are on board to complement that ideal, that commitment to destinations. Our culinary programs are geared towards the local destinations that you're in on any particular ship and port. Our excursions, we have guided excursions and specialty excursions that are geared towards that as well. So destination by far is our focus as a brand. Secondly is our fleet. We have the largest luxury fleet in existence. There's the map. Thank you, Carlos. We have the second largest fleet, or the largest luxury fleet. Today, we have 11 ships in service, soon to be 12 come 2024. But what's great about us is we're not a one size fits all. We range in size from 100 passengers to what will be 720 coming this year when we take delivery of the brand new Silver Nova, of which we'll talk about a little later. But in that luxury platform on these beautiful ships, what you have is 30 years of experience in delivering these great luxury experiences. And when you sail with us on Silversea, you feel like you've left the country. 40% of our footprint is international, and I think that that's really important. It's nice to meet people of similar lifestyles but of different cultures and sail along with you. And last, I would say, is the strong value proposition that comes with selling on an all-inclusive brand like Silversea. And we'll talk about that in detail as we go through today's event. So I would say it's destinations, Carlos. It's the platform, the fleet that we operate, the variety that comes along with it. And then the strong value proposition is being the only all-inclusive product in the market today with our door-to-door offer.
Very cool. And I have a question about the different types of pricing and the difference between door-to-door offer and all that stuff. So we're going to leave that for a little later.
Right.
But okay, that's a good elevator speech. So it's a very long elevator ride, but it's good. Tell me about the top differentiators. I mean, I know that aside from that short pitch, there's a few differentiators that you want to talk about. So.
Yeah, particularly let's just kind of peel back and look at the soft goods delivered on board, right? Let's talk a little bit about the service levels. We carry the highest passenger to cruise service levels in cruising. We're at 1 to 1.5. Our expedition product, many of them are 1 to 1. When you look at what we offer in the suites, we are the only cruise line to offer you a butler in every category. And this is more than just an elevated titer for a room attendant. You have a room attendant, and you also have a butler. And those two people have two very different sets of responsibilities on board. Where the butler's really keen on trying to identify and recognize what you're enjoying most out of this voyage, and making sure we can do more of that for you. And then the dining experience on board is second to none. We have minimum 4 dining venues on any one of our ships, even the ones, the 200 passenger vessel of the Silver Endeavour, all the way up to 8 different dining choices when you're sailing on Nova, Moon, Dawn, Muse, Spirit. And introducing that concept was really important for us. We recognized that the monotony of going into the same dining room every single night, sometimes seeing the same menu items on it night after night. As we go through our cruising career, middle of the week, the dining room is less and less full than it was at the beginning of the week. And it's because customers have grown tired of that same setting. So giving people 8 different dining venues to choose from has been a real big game changer from us, moving away from that main dining room concept and instead 8 different themed restaurants where you have 8 different experiences throughout.
Cool. And so I know we showed the map a second ago, and we saw the map full of dots. Is there any destination you guys don't travel to? I mean, you have expedition, you have classic cruising, but you're covering the entire world. And let me bring up the map one more time. But
yeah, so we like to think that if land meets ocean, it's on our calendar. There are a few remote places out there that we are yet working to put on the map. There are definitely some white spaces on the map that we have yet to color in, but we're working on it. But as you can see, we haven't left much of it undiscovered or uncharted. We go to the Russian Far East. Well, we were going to the Russian Far East. By the way, that's been put on hold in recent years. But we do the Bering Sea and out over to Nome. We do that from Seward. So that's a popular voyage. Antarctica, of course. One of the areas that we're looking into with the new Silver Endeavour, because she does allow us to travel deeper into polar regions, is doing a sailing down the Ross Sea, which would be along the east coast of Africa. So sailing south from New Zealand that you see here on the right-hand side and going off into the east coast of Antarctica, which has not been very widely explored. So those are one of the areas that we're looking at. But yeah, we feel pretty confident that if there's a place in the world you've longed to see, it's on our calendar at some point throughout the year.
Cool. And so since you just talked about the Silver Endeavour, why don't we share with our audience a little bit about that ship? I mean, Silver Endeavor, for those that don't know, is the former Crystal Endeavor ship. If we have any ex Crystal guests in today's event, you should probably remember that name. The ship used to be owned by Crystal back in the day, and it was built under the most amazing levels of just detail. And then Silversea acquired that ship when Crystal went bankrupt, and now it's called the Silver Endeavor. So, Joe, what can you share with us about that ship?
Should be called the deal of the century. I mean, we feel so fortunate that we were able to pick this ship up. You know, what Crystal paid for this at the time per berth was the most expensive ship ever built. And, you know, that sounds like a great title to build a ship. Problem is, on a 200 passenger ship, it'll take you 25 years to pay back what they paid for it. Now, thankfully, we got it for about half, and we got her brand new. She hadn't set sail yet. And here she is. You can see the stunning floor to ceiling windows throughout the ship. She was equipped with a helicopter and a submarine. Two things that, as a brand, we've taken a very strong position that we will not be featuring those types of experiences on any of our expedition ships. And there's a few reasons why. Number one, access to everyone on board is limited. These are very limited occupancy vehicles. And so there's going to be a very limited percentage of people on board that will actually be able to use it. Secondly, maintenance and actual access to be able to deploy these things. It's very limited. Weather, especially in the polar regions. And so we're refitting the Endeavour with some new larger suites where we had the helicopter pad, and the marina for the submarine has been repurposed into another lounge and public area. So we're proud of that. We're proud of that because I think it's the most responsible way to operate in these places. You know, it's hard to say that we're a sustainably conscious cruise line when we're flying helicopters over the colony of penguins in Antarctica, honestly. And so I'm proud of the fact that we went down that. But here's some spaces throughout the ship. I mean, this is by far the most luxurious expedition ship in the water today. She has the highest class of polar Arctic hull class that you could sail with. And there's a few key rooms here. Number one, this solarium. I love this. It's fully enclosed. This is where you have dinner at night. We raised the pool. The pool has a deck that the floor that comes up and makes it a flat deck for the evening dinner. Otherwise, in the afternoon, you can maybe take a dip while you're in Antarctica. There was a picture of the mud room, Carlos, that I'd like you to go back to for just a second. There it is. Thank you. This is a state-of-the-art mud room. This is where you're going to put your gear on in the morning before your hike, and where you're going to leave it in the afternoon when you come back. And this is important space because you don't have to trek all that snow and dirt back through the ship or worse yet into your rooms. And you can see here it's state-of-the-art and really well laid out. And this is where you'll store your gear. So these little things are important when you're talking about expedition. You know, having a functional mudroom can mean a lot to your overall experience, especially how the ship holds up for the rest of your crew. So that was that. We saw some of the other public areas like the restaurants. I think we had a picture here of a restaurant, Carlos. Yeah, this is the observation lounge. Yeah, and this is the Explorer Lounge. We can stay here for a second. So this lounge is an important gathering spot on the ship. On our expeditions, you will always end the night with a recap of the day on what you saw and the agenda for the next. So this is where you'll meet with our expedition guides and leaders, and you'll go over what the agenda is for the following day. What are some of the landings that we'll be on? What are some of the activities we'll be featuring and sponsoring on that given day?
Yeah, I don't have a picture of a restaurant, but
I sent you one. Sorry about that. Yeah.
cool, that's cool. But here's a few pictures I do have about some of the destinations that the Endeavour visits. Look at those polar bears over there.
Yeah, in case anyone, and I put these here because in case anyone wonders, what's an expedition, right? What's the difference? And I can tell you the difference. The difference is what you see here, right? We're going to places without infrastructure. We are that infrastructure. We're the bus company. We're the tour guides. We're the cab drivers. We're the bus company. We're all of it. And it's a very It's a very adventurous type of experience. It's about wildlife. It's about visiting remote geographic areas, and visiting and meeting remote cultures, Inuit cultures around the world. And so for those of us that are looking for a cobblestone street and a cafe to enjoy a nice bite and a coffee, Expedition may not be the way for you to go. We have great classic products that you can enjoy those types of experiences with. But for those of you that are interested in going out and exploring that little town, standing on the foot of this cliff, looking out, looking down from your balcony and seeing these beautiful minke whales breaching just below you, or encountering this little guy. By the way, these shots were all taken by our customers or my staff on the ship. And these were taken from an iPhone. And it's another reason I used it, not so I can upset marketing for using unapproved photos, but just for show our customers that you don't have to be a professional photographer to go out and capture these amazing moments. Our folks are doing it right from their phones. And here's a great muskox in the Arctic. These are all pictures of the Arctic, which is what we're featuring this summer. And it's something that I know, Carlos, you and I are going to talk about in detail throughout this presentation.
I mean, you know what? I want to spend 2 seconds here. Well, a couple of minutes here, because we have some example itineraries that we want to showcase. Because we talk about expeditions to the Arctic and whatever, but really there's a lot more than just art, or a lot more than just glaciers, or a lot more than just ice, or a lot more than just polar bears. I mean, some of these itineraries are quite extensive and have a large variety of different sightseeing options and so forth. So do you want to talk a little bit about these some of these itineraries? And by the way, one of the reasons why, let me just say this in advance, okay, before you even talk about the itineraries, guys, those that are attending today's event are the first ones to hear about a very special unpublished promotion that Silversea has put together for a very select few agencies. Do you mind if we talk about it now before we even talk about the itinerary? Okay, so for those, if anybody's interested in taking one of these expedition cruises to the Arctic this summer, okay. By the way, and like I said, this is not published on Silversea's website. We can't even promote this on our website. The only way we can talk about this is like this, on a very closed circle basis. We call these opportunities kind of friends and family opportunities, because very, very few people have access to these. And what it is basically up to 20% discount on door-to-door fares. We're going to talk about the different types of fares, but door-to-door is the most complete type of package you can get with Silversea, where you have even your transfers from home to the airport included, right? It's the true all-inclusive experience. And that door-to-door experience usually tends to be that much more expensive than any other type of rate. But those that are hearing this now know that we have an up to 20% discount, not on every single one. The discounts will vary between 10 to 20%. Keep me real, guys, if I'm overstepping or saying something that I shouldn't. But so all right, now that I've gotten people excited about the discount, I'll talk about the itineraries.
Yeah, so we go to some pretty remote places, as you can see here, right? The Canadian Arctic being one of them, with Pond Inlet included in on this itinerary. This requires charter flights, which, by the way, we take care of those arrangements. We have on our expeditions to these hard to get to places. We usually start at a major international airport and then provide charters flights or pre-purchased commercial flights on carriers to make sure that we can get our customers into some of these places that are hard to get to. So we'll take the burden of all of that, whether you book cruise only or not. If there's a charter flight that we have as part of our operations, that will be included in what we offer you and the package that we give Carlos and his group. But to Carlos's point, getting into these areas, first off, it's almost like bragging rights, right? You're going to places that people can't get to. Roads are not accessible here. We're meeting with Inuit communities that are very secluded from the rest of the population in Canada in these particular itineraries. And you're getting to places that are really dense in wildlife, particularly marine life, and polar bear, Arctic fox. And that's really what Expedition is about. Expedition is a safari. It is a safari on ocean. And that's a great way for me to explain it to those of you that have done safaris. We're out there, we're in search of wildlife constantly, and we're taking you to the places that we feel confident you will find them. And then we're taking you to places like starting in Kangerlussuaq in Greenland, where Greenland is this very remote country that people seldom visit. And we're going to be one of the only cruise lines to not only feature a stop in Greenland, but dedicate this much time to the island. Because here you could see just 3 voyages that are focused and centered around Greenland alone.
Very cool. And so I'm going to ask you a hard one, Joe, because you know what, you guys are a luxury cruise line. You guys, you know, obviously have all these ships doing classic cruising, right? I get questions from clients all the time that come to me and say, well, but I'm a hardcore expeditioner. I really want to live the expedition experience. And Silversea might just be too, luxury for me. I mean, what can you say about that?
Yeah, thank you for asking the question. It's an objection that I get often. And probably where I spend most of my time earning my paycheck is overcoming it, because it's a real concern. Customers look at us like we are this ultra elite luxury brand, and we can't possibly offer an authentic exploration experience, and that couldn't be further from the truth. What we do on shore is on par or better than any expedition line in the world. We've been doing expedition now for 15 years, Carlos, which means that we're more than just experienced, we're experts at this point. And we have the top guides in the industry. We work with guides that have spent much of their career bouncing between the different expedition providers, the others being what people would think of as true expedition cruise lines. To me, it's about, when we take you ashore, and I always use this analogy, you're going to go to Antarctica dressed in your parka to the land of ice, and you're going to come back to the ship sweating because you've been hiking for 3.5, 4 hours. You've been on a Zodiac cruise for a couple of hours. You have seen countless wildlife, and you're now coming back to your stateroom, which, by the way, is a suite. It's 300 square feet. There's a knock at the door at 5 o'clock. It's your butler. He's got the afternoon's hors d'oeuvres and a freshly popped bottle of champagne. So if you want to ask what the difference is between us and the other expedition products, it's not what we do ashore. It's what happens aboard. It's what happens on board. I'm the only one with 30 years of delivering these luxury experiences on board. And I've got 15 years under our belt for delivering these authentic exploration experiences ashore. I use the Galapagos as a great example, Antarctica as well. We have restrictions. We are allowed to be on land with a certain amount of people for a certain amount of time. We do everything we can. We maximize that amount of time. We maximize the activities that we can squeeze in there. There isn't a single other operator in expedition that gets more time or more people on these landing sites. And so how can a luxury cruise line deliver an expedition? It's easy. We deliver an expedition. We're not a luxury cruise line until you get on the cruise, on the ship. That's where it becomes luxury. But what we do ashore is you're sailing with naturalists, geologists, glaciologists, marine biologists, you name it. And our guides, again, they've got years and years of experience. So please don't, I get it a lot. Oh, we looked at Silversea, but we went with the more adventurous option. And my question immediately is, please define that. And where was it that we kind of lost that authenticity?
As you share that, I wanna add my 2 cents to that. At some of these destinations, while the experience is meant to be, on shore, right? The reality is that in places like Antarctica, for example, you can't really be on shore all the time. There's a lot of time that you spend on board the ship, like crossing the Drake Passage. That alone is quite a bit of time that you're on the ship, and the evenings, and there's several hours that you actually have to be on board the ship. And if you ask me, I'd rather be on board a ship where I'm actually very, very comfortable, and where I can actually unwind when I want to unwind, but then be active and be adventurous during the day when I want to be too. So I think that's important too. But I'm not going to let you off the hook so easily. So okay, so now we know why as an expedition cruise line you offer an amazing expedition experience. But in the recent years, we've had a lot of luxury expedition cruise lines come onto the market. I mean, you have competition now.
Yeah.
So how should what can we tell our guests today, why they should stick with Silversea?
One word: experience. Simple. And I'll explain that. Operating an expedition cruise, as we found in our early years, is not the same as operating a classic port. When you're pulling into ports that are dredged, you're pulling into ports with infrastructure, you're pulling into ports that you can take provisions, you can offload waste and garbage. This is a different business. And it's going to take these operators time to figure it out. And so what can I promise you? I can promise you a seamless experience, because we're experts at this now. And so the biggest differentiator between me and the other suppliers coming online, experience. And that's very, very important. And let's remember, we've had these new players announced in recent years, as early as 4. And for the last 2, better part of 3, they haven't sailed. So they have yet to set out and deliver this product.
Fair enough. Okay, so look, very cool, very interesting. I mean, I'm a fan of expedition cruising. I've yet to sail down to Antarctica on the Endeavour, but hopefully I'll have an opportunity to do so soon. But today is not about just expedition. Today is about Silversea in general. And one of the newest and latest announcements of Silversea has to do with a new build, a new ship, one that actually was built by you guys. And I want us to talk about the Silver Nova. So what's new? What's going on? I have a couple of pictures I want to share too. So bear with me while you explain.
Yeah, absolutely. So for those of you that are online here and have sailed with us before, this is a complete departure from how we built our ships. We have taken a few design changes and design architectural approaches to make the ship and the spaces that we use different. So she will be the largest ship in our fleet. She'll sail with 728 passengers. You can see here the crew to the guest ratio stays the same at what we would expect from our brand at 1 to 1.3. The delivery date's been pushed a bit. It's now August 14th, 2023. And she will be the biggest ship in our fleet at 54,000, just under 55,000 gross registered tons. But you could see the glass throughout on this rendering, the floor to ceiling windows. You can see the elevator bay. It goes all the way up and down the side of the ship. And the idea here is that promise of destination, making sure that we give you access to it from wherever you are on board. And one of the headliners of this ship, and something that we're very proud to be able to lead the charge in this industry on, is sustainability. This is going to be the most sustainable and cleanest ship ever built. She will sail while emitting 40% lower carbon emissions. She will be the first and only ship to be able to pull alongside and not have to run generators. We will be 0 net emissions while we're in port. And that's really, really important as we start to visit more and more places throughout the world. More and more places are becoming much more fragile because of over-tourism. And I'm glad that we are at the head of that charge and leading that with the technology that's being implemented on the Silver Nova. She's going to be powered by 3 major systems. We'll have LNG gas, we'll have hydrogen fuel cells, and then of course our engines. So really excited. I'm really proud about this. And another one of the architectural changes that we made on this was how we laid the ship out. So on those of you that have sailed with us know that we put our and this is great. So asymmetrical design, the horizontal layout, and that really helped us. What that means by horizontal layout is we used to push all of our cabins and residencies towards the front of the ship, leaving the public areas towards the mid portion and aft section of the ship. And that restricted us from being able to use that aft section of the ship, particularly for outside balcony space. That's really, and dining venues. So by using this horizontal layout, what we've done is we've put the public decks on the top, we put the public decks on the bottom, and the middle 4 decks are dedicated exclusively to residencies. And that makes navigation throughout the vessel a little easier. It also allowed us to play with the asymmetrical design. You could see here, and I think I've got another picture in the presentation, Carlos, of the pool deck. And I think that is a great example of what the asymmetric design actually does for the space, because here's a great shot of the pool deck. But if you go to the next one, Carlos, it'll show just what we've done. We've pushed it now towards the edge of the ship. And so this pool is pushed all the way towards this railing. And you can see on the far railing, we've got that beautiful bar area. Again, the concept of destination being so very important to what we do, how we plan, and how we build, and making sure that we can bring that as close to you while you're on board is at the forefront of our building plans. So really excited about this asymmetrical design. You saw some of the public areas as Carlos was fitting. Dude, I love this space here. This is our outdoor eatery. And I love that it's enclosed. It's got these high ceilings. And so you will be protected from wind when it's windy. You'll be protected from rain and from sun, and still be able to enjoy our pool grill fares. And in the evening, you can dine out there. This is a new addition to the fleet, the Dusk Bar. Again, great place to grab a drink before a show, or a great place to gather after a shore excursion with some friends and talk about the activities for the day, plan for tomorrow's. But a great space, and again, very open, bringing that destination in as much and as often as we can, from wherever we can.
Very, very, very nice design. I can't wait for the ship. Actually, there's a video that I want to show. It's a short one, but I think it can get us inspired a little. So if you guys don't mind, let me just play this. Hopefully it will. Yeah.
I don't have any audio on it, Carlos, but that's okay. The visual is all we need.
Wow.
Yeah, I had the same reaction when I saw it, and that's a rendering. I'm actually I'm hoping that I'll be able to visit the ship in the shipyard next month, and we'll see how far along she is. But I'm excited. I love that. There's one frame in that video that I can't get enough of, and it's when the ship passes by the camera, and you see that back end of her, and you see all of those windows. You see all of that glass space. You see all of that beautiful balcony space that we've been able to add to our suite accommodations on the back of the ship. And so I really can't wait to walk through, because for those of you who are loyal guests, you know that what you saw there was a big departure from our standard architecture that you find on our fleet today.
Oh, I'm telling you, I can't wait. Oh, kidding me. Can't wait for the inaugural season. Actually, I have a couple of slides here of what the first voyages are going to be.
Yeah.
Can you guys see my screen? Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So, okay, couple of pretty your typical Mediterranean itineraries, but I particularly like the first one where you get to see a little bit of Morocco there, and that's not your normal Mediterranean itinerary. That's pretty cool. And the second one, Western Mediterranean one, I see some, well, a lot of the typical ports, but I mean, doing them on this ship, it's going to be amazing.
Yeah, it's a thing that we struggle with, right? We want to be unique in port offerings, but we also have to make sure we're taking people to see. So we stick on the classic ports. You'll see that we do go to the major cities. We go to the places that you want to see. What we try to do there, Carlos, is we try to plan to where we're one of few ships in port. So we do the itinerary planning with ports, make sure that we ask the right questions. Sometimes you can't avoid the other ships, but we do where we can. And one thing you will find about even our med itineraries, you can do them back to back to back, because we will not repeat ports, right? I think this is a good example. You start here, you see here's Venice to Rome is one of them. And I'm not sure that these are concurrent voyages, but if they were, you can add them and not repeat many of these ports along the way. So I think that's important for viewers to know also about our product. Is almost any of our destinations around the world, you can do back to back or back to back to back voyages and experience unique itinerary throughout.
Joe, you said originally it was going to launch in June 23. Now it's launching in August 23.
Yes, sir.
Are we expecting for that to stay on track? Is there any expectation for it to maybe get delayed?
No. But I guess we'll find out next month when I visit the ship in the shipyard. But as of right now, we've been told that the delay to August 14th is the final. And truth be told, we're probably going to take delivery of her somewhere around the 2nd or 3rd of August. We'll work down a shakedown cruise, make sure all the doors close and lock, and then we'll have her ready for our public.
And so you are going to have even a little bit of a short Met season, but it is going to happen. Do you still have availability for the inaugural season?
I do. We do. There's great availability on the crossing. So for those of you that have always, or have thought of doing a transatlantic crossing, the crossing coming from Lisbon to New York is open. We still have some space available.
Okay.
The early season on Med for her, so that would be August or mid-August into the end of August. That's pretty well sold. But I encourage everyone, always call Luxury Cruise Center and Cruise Connections and ask them for availability. We are fortunate to sail at high occupancies, and most of our voyages do sell out. But even those that you find online listed as wait list, it's always worth picking up the phone and calling one of our partners at Luxury Cruise Connections, because if it's not that voyage that's available, they could use their expertise in finding something that's a similar route, or even reaching out to us for alternative solutions. So please always call our friends.
And then that crossing, is that crossing going to be Lisbon to New York?
Yeah.
Okay. And then right after is those itineraries that we're seeing on the screen now.
That's exactly right. So one of the things Innova is going to do for us this year is she is going to be our ship to do circumnavigation of South America. Every year, Carlos, as you know, we feature a grand voyage around South America, and here are the three legs. So it'll start with, if you go back to the previous slide, the first leg of the South America voyage will be the Fort Lauderdale to Lima, and that's on the right-hand side. It's one of the 5 Panama Canal voyages that we'll be featuring on the Nova. But the first is going to be, actually, this shows it going in the opposite direction. But there's a voyage that goes down through the canal into Lima, correct? And that'll be the first voyage. We can click into the next one. And here you'll see the sailing from Lima around the Horn up into Buenos Aires. Then the next one is the Carnival cruise, which we do every year. And you'll leave from Buenos Aires, you'll head on up to Rio, with a few stops in between. We'll be there for 2 nights of Carnival. It's always a big highlight of that voyage. And then we'll sail from Rio back to Bridgetown into Manaus. So we're actually going to sail up the Amazon pretty far west. We're going to head all the way to Manaus before turning her around and coming back out and heading up to visit a few of the Caribbean islands, ending in Bridgetown for the final leg to take place, Bridgetown to Fort Lauderdale. So it's a true round trip Fort Lauderdale, grand circumnavigation of South America, and it's on the brand new Silver Nova.
And then now by the time it gets back to Fort Lauderdale, we're talking about March, April, and then it crosses back to the Med.
That's right. I think it's a 72-night cruise. Chaz, can you verify?
Yeah, it's right around 80 days, and then Carlos, it actually goes through the Panama Canal up to Alaska following that.
Oh, really? It goes to Alaska for 24.
Yeah, she's going to be in Alaska doing 7 nights. Well, 7 nights Vancouver to Seward or Seward to Vancouver next year. So we're excited about that.
So it's going to be
a great ship to what a great destination to introduce this ship to, right? On topic of sustainability, fragile ecosystems. What a great place to go here.
You know, I think it's very cool what you guys are doing, because you guys are this season for Alaska. You guys have the Muse up there, right?
Yes.
So you have the Muse up in Alaska, which is one of your newest ships, and then you're going to have the newest one of all by in 24. I think it's really you guys are. I mean, you're the only cruise line that is really putting your newest and best ships up in Alaska. Am I right? I mean, did I get that right? Keep me real here.
You did. And so what we did this year, actually, Carlos, is we put 2 ships in Alaska. We have the Whispers in Alaska, which the Whispers 388 passengers. My customers describe her to me as our Goldilocks ship, right? She's not too big, not too small. She's just right. She's right in the middle at 388 passengers. And just to put that in perspective, it's 388 passengers on 30 gross registered tons of hardware. So what does that mean to your customers? It means you have a lot of space and a lot of ship to enjoy with very few people. And then the larger ships, the Muse currently 596 passengers, being our largest and one of our newest. But we do that because we found that Alaska is a great gateway destination to our product. It is a great way to introduce new customers to the brand because it's a domestic destination. It's fairly easy to get to. There's plenty of airline lift, and it's a short cruise at 7 nights. And so it's a great way for us to introduce new to brand customers, which we hope to do as a result of this event here today. And it's so we like to put our new ships there because again, it is really a gateway destination to new customers.
Yeah. Okay. So all right. So done talking about ships, done talking about destination. Let's talk about pricing.
Yeah.
Silversea did several changes within your pricing model in the last couple of years. Just to bring everybody up to speed, before 2021, again, keep me real if I'm not correct. Before 2021, Silversea was basically not fully all inclusive, right? You offered your typical cruise fare and you had some air promotions here and there, but that was about it. But then after 2021, you guys introduced a much more inclusive experience where even the shore excursions are included. So for those that haven't heard of this, I'm sure many of you do know this. But now Silversea, every single voyage includes shore excursions. And you introduced basically two types of fares. So I'm going to try to break this down for our audience. And let me share my screen again to try to visualize this. You introduced two types of fares. You introduced the door-to-door, all-inclusive fare, and then you introduce the port-to-port. Now, I'm going to go back to this slide for a second so that we can explain this a little better. The door-to-door is basically including everything from your transfers to home, to flights, to airport transfers at your destination. Your cruise experience is going to include your food and beverage, butler, shore excursions, everything, right? And then the same way on the way back. Now, if you say, no, I don't care so much about the air and the transfers and any of that, right? I just want to do all that by myself. You're basically removing all that pre and post the ship, pre and post the cruise experience, and created that port-to-port experience. Now, the port-to-port experience is somewhat discounted. Of course, it's less expensive because you don't have a lot of this inclusions, but you also have a different cancellation policy, different payment terms as well. So, Joe, what is that main difference in terms of the cancellation policy and payment terms?
Yeah, so great question. So the door-to-door is exactly that, right? Including private transfer pickups at your home. We have 30 cities throughout the United States where we service you as long as you live within 50-mile radius of your airport. Including the economy flights, obviously was important for us to be able to offer a strong value proposition to the market. The transfers are included once you arrive. Everything else is on board. We are an all-inclusive delivery on board, and so that stays standard no matter what pricing you book under. And then the same experience is getting home. And what we found is that customers are looking for a seamless purchase. They're looking for a seamless transaction. And more so, having this included makes this less transactional. It makes it feel like you're booking a vacation and a holiday, more so than piecing together a bunch of transactions. And so our consumers in particular, they like to have a one price fits everything. And having it this way, what it means is we are in control of your entire journey. And today with broken airlines, routing, canceled flights, it's important that we know where you are at all times. And so this is our number one pricing model. This is how we like to be recognized in the industry. We like to be recognized by our customers as a door-to-door product.
And it gives you the flexibility also with your deposit because it's fully refundable.
That's right. Cancellation terms on this, and they don't start until 150 days prior. 120 days prior. Final payments due at 150, but it's a refundable piece. This is a changeable rate code, if you would.
Right.
On the port-to-port, we found that one of the things we're trying to do, Carlos, is introduce new customers to luxury cruise. Right? You and I have talked about finding new luxury customers all the time, and for the inexperienced luxury cruiser to not know or have a full breadth of appreciation for all of the inclusions on door-to-door, we found it advantageous to be out there with a cruise-only fare, and a strong but aggressive cruise-only fare to attract new to luxury customers that may not be accustomed to booking the all-inclusive package. And the key here, the idea is introduce the brand, right? The airfare, the transfers, that's not my brand. That's a necessity to get you to my brand and be able to operate my business. I have these logistical needs. But we have customers who have access to discounted fares. We have customers who have access to miles, credits, and some just like to take control of their own air and hotels, and some advisors like to have control of air and hotel. And so we've introduced these reduced cruise-only fares that are basically stripped out of the logistics and the operations before the cruise departs, but includes all of the staples of the inclusive product that you would find on the onboard delivery, including the excursions. And now there has to be a differentiator between products, and this not being something that's available on all of our voyages. This is featured on select voyages. It comes with stricter terms. And so it's an immediate, the deposit is immediately non-refundable. So it's a penalized amount. And final payments, that schedule does not change. You still have final payments, you still do it 150 days. But it does award you and the customer more control and flexibility on making your own air and travel arrangements.
Okay, and then just to put things in perspective real quick before I move on to the next slide,
Yeah.
You guys, we spoke about the 20% up to 20% discount on some voyages like the Arctic voyages for this upcoming season. Those will apply on the door-to-door. So
Correct.
that 20% would apply on this type of situation. That wouldn't be combinable with this, right? But it basically makes this experience a lot more price comparable with the door-to-door, with the port-to-port. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it strengthens the value proposition. You know, we're adding an additional savings to something that's already got tremendous value to it. And you know, I know you agree, Carlos. Being an operator that sells air or has to deal with air these days is not a very easy to be in. It's not as fun as it used to be.
Not a lot of fun. Okay, and then this port-to-port all-inclusive, you guys introduced one more little thing to it, which is on this next slide, which is an additional discount on top of the port-to-port fares, but you have to prepay everything within 5 days of making the booking, and then the entire thing becomes non-refundable.
Yeah.
So
yeah, this is for the truly price-conscious consumer looking to get to a remote place, and this is offered on very select grouping of voyages. What we call prepaid port-to-port. You know, if I could speak a little bit out of school, I wish our marketing team would have been a little more creative with the name. But it's basically that you're prepaying ahead of time, going into penalty immediately, but for the benefit of a reduced fare. And this is on what we would say. I hate using the word distressed voyages, so let's just call them voyages of opportunity to be able to.
Voyages of opportunity. Hey, let's face it. I mean, we just went through 3 years of complicated cruising, you know.
Yeah,
so
and sometimes in 2 of those years, not cruising at all. So I got to tell you, I'll take my wins where I can get them. In 23, thank you to you, your advisors, and your customers. Is turning out to be an excellent year.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys are feeling the same, but we're breaking records for sure. I mean, what our January has been insane. So
yes, sir. You know, Carlos, you and I have talked about this about a few years in our industry, and this is one of those years where if you're not successful, you should probably find something else to do.
Yeah, for sure. So okay, and then last but not least, in terms of promotions and stuff like that, let's talk about this referral program that you guys have as well. Very, pretty simple. Refer a friend, 500. If you're a past guest, Venetian Society member, 500. If you refer a world cruiser, 1,500. Any grand voyage, like the one that Chaz just shared with us on the chat, the Silver Nova Grand South America voyage, 71 days. That is a grand voyage. In referrals to that, it's $1,000, right?
Yeah.
Cool. So let me unshare my screen, and now let's open it up for Q&A. Is there anything else that we want to?
Yeah, I want to point out one thing, because hey, Steve, he posted a question for me and he sent it to me privately, but I want to address it publicly for everyone's benefit here. Steve asked me if we offer a fly cruise to avoid transfer through the Drake Passage when sailing to Antarctica. And the answer to the audience is yes, we do. That is our Fly Cruise program. We feature it on the new Silver Endeavour, which we covered here. It's in essence, it's a 6-day voyage around the continent of Antarctica, but it's really a 9-night package. Because what we do is with our door-to-door pricing, we fly you into Santiago. You'll stay overnight at it's either the Ritz or the Mandarin.
Mandarin Oriental.
Thank you, Chaz. And then we fly you from Santiago to Punta Arenas. Now, when you get to Punta Arenas, you won't be staying at the Ritz or the Mandarin. Unfortunately, there's not many great hotels to choose from there, but we did take the best available. And that's an operational stop, because what's going to happen is the next day, you're going to board a charter flight and you're going to fly all the way over 2.5 hours to the continent. You're going to land on a gravel runway where you will be escorted to your Zodiac, which will take you to the ship, and you will see her in the bay as you're pulling in. So it's a great way to see Antarctica for those of you that are still working and are strapped for time. And you know, Antarctica is a 2-week to 16-day voyage if you sail down the Drake, right? There's no way we can break that up. But with this 9-night package, you can really get in and out in less than 10 days and get a full experience in Antarctica and not miss anything. Because you're spending 6 full days on the continent. So
Yeah,
it's great.
yeah, and especially for I think it's pretty unique, and the fact that you do it on the Endeavour makes it even that much more unique. So this is where I'm going to start reading all the questions out of the meeting chat. So if any, as we talk and as we ask questions, you can type them there. I'm going to read them for you. If we have an opportunity to unmute you and have you ask your question live.
Question for so I think Robin had a question. What are gratuities? Those are included, so that's good. Gratuities are included on all of our voyages, and I also have a question from Miss Wentworth asking about Ladam. Ladam has a charge, and it's a charge there because the restaurant, the venue itself, is very limited in capacity. So on the Cloud, for example, it's only 20 seats, and the ship carries almost 270 passengers. And so having it as included is something that it's a promise that we find very difficult to deliver on an occupancy restriction. And so unfortunately, we're forced to put the charge. What it does is it corrects demand, and also it adjusts our promise. You know, having it there and not giving you access to it is not delivering on a promise of an included restaurant. And so unfortunately, the occupancy restrictions have forced us to put a fee on there, but it's a nominal fee. It's a $60 nominal fee. And again, it's not about the revenue or paying for the dinner. It's more on just making sure we're not promising something that's included that we may not be able to deliver to you. So on the Cloud is a great example, a 10-night voyage on the Cloud with a capacity of 20 people. On a 10-night voyage, I probably won't be able to get all 274 passengers into that night.
And by the way, on most sailings, when one of our guests are on, we are usually providing some agency promotions with some additional onboard credit that can cover that as well. So it's usually not a problem. I want to ask a question that I got privately about the Rio stop. Are Carnival tickets included?
Chaz?
So
Chaz had to leave, Joe.
Sure,
I'm sorry. Had to
Chaz
leave.
had to leave.
Oh, I'm sorry, Audrey. Audrey, do you know if we include tickets to Carnival? I believe so.
It might be an option as a shore excursion land type thing, but I don't know exactly if we
We'll get
are.
back to you on
We
that.
should.
The audience
We'll
afterwards.
look into it. And I'll
Question.
let you know, Carlos.
Great question.
For sure. Okay, and there was a question about gratuities. Chaz answered gratuities are included in all Silversea voyages. Vicky was asking, why don't you offer port-to-port on all cruises?
Yeah, because Vicky, we want to be the door-to-door. We want to be the door-to-door people. If you ask me how I want to be in this market, I want to be door-to-door, almost exclusively door-to-door. What we've done is strategically, tactfully, offered port-to-port on destinations where we feel we would be able to attract passengers that would otherwise not be ready to consider this market yet. And so we place it where we feel we're going to have the biggest draw.
All right. So basically what you're trying to do is you're trying to grab a little bit of market share from upper premium cruise lines that.
That's it. You know, Carlos, we talk about this all the time, and we talk about the life cycle of a consumer, right? The evolution of a consumer and the different stages that we all go through. You know, I always joke with my team, you know, in my 20s, I'd be willing to sleep on the floor of a Motel 6. My expectations have changed quite a bit now that I'm in my mid 40s, and our consumers, your customers, are the same way. And so we keep building these new ships because we know that there's a demographic of people that are currently sailing in lower markets on larger ships that will eventually make this transition and this evolution into that final life cycle of their consumer life and be ready for a luxury experience. And introducing a price point like this in destinations that are easy to get to and more mainstream, if you would, is a great way for us to get a customer into that last stage, maybe before they're ready to realize it on their own. And so that would be the reason. Single occupancy, I just got a question on solo travelers. Thank you, Joan, because we love solo travelers. We have over 60 voyages on our calendar that feature a 25% single supplement. So the many voyages, we do have several that sell out very well and are at 200%, like as industry norm. We have others that are 175, 150, but we have dozens that are listed at 125%. And we do that because we love our solo travelers.
And just real quick, going back to Vicky's question for a sec. Vicky, there might not be port-to-port offers on every single cruise, but we can, if you need to, strip down the air, you get an air credit, strip down the transfer, you get a transfer credit, hotel, you get a hotel credit. So, well, you know, you might not have the option of having the non-refundable deposit with a little bit of the extra discount. It's just a promotion, but we can strip down all the other components and you can get credits for it. So that's important to know. Carla has a question about if I book door-to-door cruise directly through Silversea and are having problems, who can I contact? So before you even answer that question, Joe, let me share with the audience, you know, be as blunt as you can possibly be. Is there any reason why anybody should be booking directly with Silversea?
No. No, you know, we have a direct channel because we have customers that pick up the phone and call us, and we have to be ready and staffed to answer questions from all areas, right? My business comes from the distribution channel, that's you, our travel agent partners. And what we leverage on our travel agent partners is your experience, not just with my product, but with the world and its destinations, right? Different hotel properties, airline access, and really just overall knowledge of what we do. So is there an advantage of booking with Silversea over you? No, absolutely not. On the contrary, I give you a lot of programs out there that I don't make available to the general public. And it's because, number one, of our partnership. And number two, it's important that we give you tools to do what we talked about just a few minutes ago, introduce new luxury customers to this brand. And so my advice to all passengers is find yourself a travel advisor professional that you're comfortable and trust, and call them, use them. These people will steer you in the right direction and put you on the vacation you envision. Now, I've got great staff members here too, but these are the guys you work with. And they're here because, like I said, sometimes we get calls that fall through, but most of our business comes through our travel agent partners.
But any advantage? I mean, you know, I get people sometimes telling me, no, but, you know, if I have a problem, I know I can call them directly. You know, how does that work? What, you know, because, you know, obviously if it comes from me, I mean, it's one thing, but if it comes from you, it has a different meaning. Yeah,
no, I mean, so we're door to door. And so when we have you door to door, we see you throughout your entire voyage. If there's a problem, we know there's a problem. Your travel advisors are notified before you are. So when we have a travel agent booking, travel advisors, as you know, Carlos, are the first persons notified, and we contact your customers probably the next day. Itinerary changes, hotel changes, cancellations, that sort of thing. The communication comes to the partner first. So as far as that's concerned, you're never at a disadvantage when it comes to communication. We make sure we give our partners first communication. And beyond that, I mean,
what I'd like to tell some clients is, if you know, we hope that everything goes fine. We hope that everything goes according to plan. But you know, there's a lot of things that could happen. And if something does happen, usually if you book direct, your only option is to contact guest relations and wait for guest relations to get back to you.
Okay.
But when there's a relationship like the one we have, I mean, I have Joe's cell phone number, right? If there's a situation that guest relations is taking a little bit too long to respond on, or maybe things are not, maybe the response is not what they expected. Joe, we've done this before. I mean, I just, pick up the phone and Joe, let me out here.
That's exactly right. And, it goes beyond that. We are a high touch team. Every single person on your team knows Audrey, and knows how to find Audrey. And in the event of a situation, miscommunication, a broken flight, canceled flight, any of those things, you guys have immediate access to the entire team. Not only do you have access to the team, but you have access to the internal departments. You know who to call. You know how to get a hold of my air department. You know how to get to the emergency line. You know how to get to Audrey. You certainly know how to get to me. So when it comes to, information flow, point of contact, no, you are definitely not at a disadvantage working with a travel partner. We always find that to be the most advantageous avenue for our customers, because not only can they sell you our product, they can help piece together a great vacation using other outside sources that we simply won't have access to. And quite frankly, these guys have experiences that they've had around the world with different cities, different products, different cultures that our guys just don't have.
And add to that the fact that because of our affiliation with Virtuoso, etc., we have added value and additional onboard amenities and exclusive excursions that people, they won't get if they book direct.
That's
now,
right.
All that said, Carla, if you're listening, this is what you need to know. As a luxury cruise agency that we are, and being so strong and committed to our core values, we do this. Our why is to help people plan their vacations, and we understand that sometimes this, something like that could have happened, and if we were not involved, we were going to use that as an opportunity to just establish a relationship with you. So even though you made a booking that has nothing to do with us, please reach out to us. In fact, I'm going to have somebody reach out to you so that we can connect. And even if you have nothing to do with this booking, we want to help you because that's who we are. That's what we do. It's part of our core values. Obviously we're, happy to have clients and make a commission, all that stuff. But at the end of the day, we don't walk our talk. We do this because we want to help people plan their dream vacation. So we're here for you. Carla, count on us. We'll reach out to you. We'll help you resolve whatever it is that you have. There's some limitations to what we can do because, we don't have access to your reservation, but we'll try to connect in the best way possible to try to resolve whatever problem you have. Okay. Happy to do so. Any difference in price from regular travel agent or luxury cruise connections? Judy, that's a good question. We are travel advisors. We are a cruise agency. So that's a little bit of a hard question to answer.
20% I gave you earlier today.
Yeah, I mean, look.
20% I gave you in the Arctic, I can tell you that.
Say that one more time.
I said the 20% is not available to anyone else but you guys. There's an advantage.
There you go. So yeah, we have exclusive promotions and pricing that is usually not available out there. Not every agency has it, not every, not direct consumers have it. So yeah, there are certainly advantages to booking with us. It doesn't happen every single time, but you have a high chance of getting a pretty advantageous pricing with us. Let's see what else. What other questions do we have, guys? Let me hear you. Will you be offering business class flights in the future?
Great. Yeah, Vicky, we actually offer business class now. So one of the things we don't do is include it in the price. We include economy with a business class purchase option. So many of our customers, believe it or not, still like to fly economy. And so
but the economy is only, for business class wouldn't be offered for Alaska or the Caribbean. So the longer flights like Europe,
right,
Australia, Asia, that's where we're going to offer a business class fare more reduced than any others out there. Okay. And if you don't take the air, you don't need the air, then we're going to take an air credit out. For instance, if you're going to Europe, then your air credit would be $900 off of your cruise per person. So we're not taking our air, then you go get your own air. If you want our air, we're giving you economy class included on every destination and on select regional areas. Europe, Northern Europe, business class is offered, and Asia and Australia.
Yeah, so for Europe, and just to get it and put it in perspective, Vicky, to Europe right now, our business class air, I think, is $9.99 each way.
No, $6.99 for med, $6.99 each way.
Was $6.99 each on med on certain voyages, $9.99 each way for Northern Europe. So you could think about it, you know, Audrey mentioned the $900 of economy air that's added in the price. That you add that and then another $1,300 or $1,400 for the business class, you're still under $3,000, well under $3,000 around.
Try to find a $3,000 business class fare right now for the summer.
My friend, it's hard to find a $3,000 economy class to Europe today. So, but yes.
Yeah. And by the way, also, just in case, even though Silversea includes air and has these amazing air promos, if at any point in time the gateway doesn't work for the promotion or whatever, as an agency, we also have amazing air. We have, you know, contracted fares for most destinations with most major carriers, as well as hotel deals. So every so often you're going to see some packages also being put by us. It's basically, we'll get a stripped down fare from the cruise line, and then we'll put together this packages as well. We'll add an excursion at the end, at the beginning or the end, and then our own flights or whatever. So there's a lot of flexibility also on that regard. Thank you. I prefer the port to port. Yeah, some people definitely did. And then Mike is asking, I've sailed once in my life. It did not go well. When my wife has talked me into buying 2 cruises Silversea, I'm hoping that your excellent reputation changes my perspective. Alaska in July and Lisbon to Barcelona in September.
Fantastic, Mike.
Mike, welcome aboard. Would your wife like a job in sales? It sounds like she did a pretty good job. But no, in all seriousness, I assume you're sailing on the Muse in Alaska, sir?
Oh, wonderful.
Yes.
And what are we doing in Lisbon to Barcelona?
That's on the Nova.
On the Nova.
On the Silver Nova, yes, Joe.
Oh, that's great, Javi. Great.
And my wife has asked me if it's going to be available on the 14th of August, if that's a good date.
The 14th of August is set as our inaugural. Yeah, I mean, all indication we've had from the shipyard is that she will be delivered on time. When are you going to be? So you're going to do her in September, then you'll do that.
Yeah,
after.
the inaugural voyage. Yeah.
Great.
So we are very much looking forward, and you have such a great reputation. I'm really looking forward to the fact that my idea of cruising turns around.
Me too.
Well, we're happy your wife wanted you to take Silversea, Mike.
He's a better sales rep than I am.
You're gonna be very happy.
Thank you.
So, Mike, if you don't mind me asking, what type of, you don't have to mention the supplier if you prefer not to, but what market did you sail on the last time you sailed on it?
It was on a one geared towards my children, let's put it that way.
Yeah.
And I had enough of the ship's intercom that I wanted to pull it out of the wall by the time it was over with.
Oh, I know.
Different.
I did swear to God I would never go on another cruise. Swear to God.
Well, Mike, this isn't a cruise. This is a luxury voyage. So you stay true to your promise. You're in good shape.
I'm looking forward to it. Thank you.
Good. And then they're also doing the Denali in Alaska. That's going to be good. So yeah, very much looking forward to your feedback when you guys come back. I'm sure you guys are going to love it for sure. And then Vicky just said that she did it last summer. She's doing it again this summer. So that's
Oh, wow. That's great. I got 2 years on the Muse too, the last 2 years. So I'm really happy. I'm telling Joe I want another one. this
So,
year.
so question, Robert was with us at the beginning of the presentation. He was telling us he had never sailed on Silversea before. Robert, did we convince you?
Oh, is he here?
On the Nova, probably definitely. That is a beautiful ship.
Thank you.
Great.
Excited.
It is. She's gonna be gorgeous.
Nice.
It's going to be terrific. I can see myself sitting at that dust bar. I've got my seat picked out already. It's not my seat.
You know, I haven't even met him, but I think the bartender already knows my name.
Thank you, Robert. Thank you so much. Let's see, what other questions do we have? I do want to be respectful of your time, but since we have Joe and Audrey, if you have any other questions, this is the opportunity.
Yeah, Joe and Audrey, first of all, hello. I typed it to someone, but it wasn't
Steve.
answered. Hi, how are you? Hi, Joe. I have a guest who may have around 5 cabins. We'll have some children. Could you please, for Alaska, could you please tell everybody, because I'm sure there's grandchildren and all that, what Silversea has for children for the ship, please?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll tell you what we don't have, Steve, is we don't have dedicated children's spaces. But there are destinations throughout the year that we do see more families. Alaska being one of those destinations. It's a real family-oriented destination. It's a place where people want to go to be together. And so we find more families on Alaska and the Galapagos than any of our other products. And on the Alaska product, it's a 7-day voyage. We will have organized kids' activities throughout the day. It's not a long schedule, but what we found is that it's not necessary, right? And so this is what you should advise your families that are going to Alaska. They were going to be together. There's a lot of experiencing to be had in this destination. There's a lot of time in port at these destinations. As you know, most of us spend about 10 hours on average in port in Alaska. That's a long day. We're out touring, and it's a very port-intensive itinerary. On a 7-day voyage, you're probably going to hit 5 stops, at least. So what I can tell your audience is, I sailed to Alaska on a luxury brand with my kids. They were much younger at the time. They were 13 and 10.
Oh, Joe, I'm sorry. I think the mute button went on. I apologize. They were 13 and 10. That's where
They were young, but it's the one vacation that we spent so much time together. It is probably my favorite vacation, and it's the one place my kids got up and were looking to interact with other children. I've taken them on the big ships before. I put them in the kids program, and within 30 minutes, my beeper's going off because they want to go home. And what I come to realize is that most days in those bigger ships, it's like the first day of school. The kid he was playing with yesterday's got another friend he's playing with because I got there too late. So now he's got to go find a new friend to introduce himself to. It's not all that much fun. And on these smaller ships, these kids all really know each other. So when you have a group of 30, 40 kids, the age groups kind of click together and they become very strong groups throughout of 5 or 6, and they all start hanging out together. My son has never gotten up at 9 in the morning for anything. And on that cruise, he would get up 9 in the morning. I got to go to the lounge. They're doing superhero day. And I'm thinking to myself, it's a lounge. It's a luxury lounge. Like, what could possibly be happening there that makes it so exciting? Being with the other kids and building that camaraderie. So they'll be surprised. Put them on there. Alaska especially.
very cool.
Thank you, Joe.
Thank you. And then Carla's asking, are there limited business class flights? I could not get business class to Barcelona in May. Once I'm ticketed, could I upgrade with
Good
miles?
question.
Good question. The answer is yes, Carla. Unfortunately, our carriers they're pulling routes more and more and more, and so sometimes we have to discontinue our business class offers simply because we don't have the lift.
Right. And then what about, can she upgrade? with
Usually,
miles?
Carlos, that happens closer in, right? So the further you're booking out, obviously, the more flexible and access I have to more routes and contracts in place. So always book as early as you can.
And then can she upgrade with miles? Is the second part of the question?
No, our fares are what they call air sea fares and are not upgradable, which is why sometimes they're so appealing to our customers as the door-to-door option. or to remove the air and take the credit because our customers have miles. Yeah.
Understood. Hans, thank you very much for the comment. Can you unmute yourself for a second? Because let me just do unmute there for a sec. How are you, Hans? No, I don't think the microphone is working. Okay, it's okay. Hans was saying, appreciate the effort everyone provided to make this informative. I am a long-time LCC and Silversea customer. It's a good combination. I have a Quebec to Fort Lauderdale booking on Silversea for November. I'm waiting for Silversea to kick in some price reductions during the wave season. What are the chances?
So Hans, I'm proud to say that we put our best foot forward at launch. Especially when you're looking at our door-to-door rates, and so we make sure we put our best price at launch, and we have such a loyal following and such a great distribution channel with our advisors and our travel agent partners. We sail at great occupancy, and what you'll see is the opposite. You'll see prices start to go up as we get closer to sailing. It's a supply and demand type of business. And as we start to sell out the inventory, we do have a reputation of raising prices. As a matter of fact, there's a price increase that's scheduled for February 28th at the end of this month. So if you have not booked your Silversea cruise, please do so with Luxury Cruise Connections before the end of this month. But working with Carlos and his group, Hans, if you booked through here, I'm sure you did. You probably took advantage of a great virtuoso amenity or some kind of shipboard credit partnership that we had with them.
Yeah, and Hans, I know JC is your point of contact, so happy to follow up with that as well. But thank you very much for the endorsement. We appreciate it. Happy to have you as a client for a long time, and looking forward to many more years of helping you plan your next cruises as well. So let's see. Any more questions? I want to make sure that we use this opportunity to ask every single one of those questions, because again, Joe is not available all the time, so I'm glad that we had him for so much time. I'm sure he's about to tell me he needs to run, but it's okay. John, you're asking me what kind of shipboard credit do you offer? John, it depends on a lot of different things. Because of our partnership with Virtuoso, there are some automatic shipboard credit opportunities and exclusive excursions opportunities that we add onto your cruise line, but they vary by itinerary, by destination, a whole bunch of different things. At the same time, there are some exclusive promotions that we work with Silversea on a need be basis. So for example, right now, Silversea is telling us, hey, we have some holes in the Arctic, can you help us out with the Arctic? And so 20% discount for the Arctic on door to door. And those sort of little things that pop up from time to time. And then as an agency, we often have like agency promotions. So again, depending on how long the voyage and what category you're booking, we'd have different sort of shipboard credit opportunities. So Joan, if you're currently not working with one of our advisors, we'll make sure that one of us contact you right away and we can establish a relationship, and you can learn more about kind of more specifically on whatever you're planning on, what type of additional amenities we can add to your voyage. Did I answer your question? Do you have any okay there? Okay, any other questions? Diane, how did you like the presentation today? Tell me, I want to hear from you. Diane?
Are you referring to me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was very informative, very interesting. And in fact, I'm already, not through you, unfortunately, because I didn't know about you then, but I'm already booked on Silversea Muse for Alaska on June 3rd.
Great.
Yeah, and I'm really looking forward to that. but I will be visiting your website again. I'll be looking at some of the single supplement offers that you'll have available.
Great.
That's great, Dan. Thank you very much for the opportunity. We'll have somebody reach out to you as well and establish a connection so that you have a person that you can connect to. We like to, you know, being a luxury agency, we want to make sure that we have that one-to-one relationship, that you have a single point of contact within our company, somebody that you can talk to via email, via text message, via phone. And also, just so you know, a little bit more about what we do. Once you're booked with us, we have a concierge team that works behind the scenes. And so you'll get, you know, somebody from our concierge team will also be reaching out to you and say, is there anything else that we can help you with? Do you need restaurant reservations? Do you need flights? Do you need hotels? Do you need transfers? Do you need whatever it is that you need, you know, with that white glove touch throughout the entire experience? Because, you know, we believe that the experience of cruising is more than just on board. Is the anticipation to the trip, is the everything that goes from the moment you book to the moment you travel that also matters. So we want to be there for you on that part of the journey as well.
I appreciate that.
Making your dreams come true.
There you go. There you go. And I know that, you know, we don't necessarily want to advertise a lot of this, because the idea is for us to establish relationships and us recommend cruises. But if you happen to have booked that cruise within, what's the, Joe, what's the timeline? 30 days. If you book that cruise within the last 30 days, we can actually add our agency credentials, and it will make you eligible for some of our agency promotions as well. And as well as give us the opportunity to service that booking for you too, and help you out with everything else. So keep that in mind. All right, good questions. Good questions. All right, listen, everybody that got an invitation to this event has access to the promotions that we talked about, and also there is a $500 certificate for new bookings only. Okay, so obviously we do this with Silversea to incentivize new bookings. So unfortunately, any existing bookings is not going to be eligible for this, but any new bookings, you now have, each one of you has another $500 discount certificate that you can use on your next Silversea cruise book.
Could be 2024 voyages. It's not combinable with the Arctic voyages that you're already getting that 20% off, but any other voyage out there, and it's the door-to-door fare, we're going to give you $500 off of your cruise.
There you go.
Audrey.
That's a show special.
Audrey and Joe, question. I have a guest actually, Al. When will 2025 sailings be announced?
June.
This coming June?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
So, yeah, so like I said, by the way, this $500, for example, would apply for 25 itineraries, because the 20% is not applying on that too. And I don't believe there's port-to-port fares on 25 sailings yet. But so, you know, we're here for you. You're all going to get a recording information on this, of course, a follow-up email. You're going to get a recording of today's event as well. Feel free to share this with your friends and family. You know, we mean it. I mean, we rely heavily on referrals. We rely heavily on word of mouth. So we love to deliver an amazing experience, and at the same time, we love the opportunity to get introduced to your friends and family. There are referral programs that with Silversea, just like you guys heard a few minutes ago, and there's also referral programs for us from us that we can extend as well. So please keep us in mind for your next amazing luxury cruise voyage with Silversea, and we look forward to the opportunity of helping you plan your next vacation.
Luxury Cruise Connections is the best. Thank you, team, all of you. And
thank you, Audrey,
for being here today. We got to pin you down for a little bit. But we appreciate you, and we hope to see you on Silversea in the very near future.
There you go.
Thank you very, very much.
Any additional question, anything else that you might have forgotten to ask, you can just reply back to the email invitation that you got. We'll receive it. We'll make sure we address it and get back to you promptly. Okay.
I'll find out about that carnival.
There you go. What we'll do is we'll make sure, Denise, we'll make sure when we send the follow-up email, we send a note on that.
I will have that information in half an hour.
Perfect. Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you.
everybody.
All right, bye, guys. Thank you. Have a
Take
lovely
care, Audrey.
evening.
Take care, Joe. Thank you.
Thank you.
The whole
Bye, guys.
time.
Thank you, Audrey. Thank you, Joe.
Thank you.
Okay.